friends, how are ya? Welcome back to my channel and back to my kitchen for this new little, I guess it's a series now, because I think this is the fourth one I've done. I've been calling it a cook with me, where we like experiment on a dish and talk about life and what's going on, but I feel like it could use a better name for this little segment. So if you have suggestions, I'm all ears. I'm gonna talk you through my vision. I'm feeling 40% confident that this is gonna end up yummy, but in California, I had this amazing dish. It was like baked, hello? It was like a baked sambal, eggplant, tomato dish that was topped in these fried shallots and had like this like lemony yogurty sauce on top. It was so good. And I was like, what if I kind of create something similar but bake cod? I just got cod in my recent meat box. So I'm kind of riffing. I could not find fresh lemons at Trader Joe's, which I feel like was random, so I'm gonna use lemon juice, but I have eggplant roasting separately right now because it has to cook for quite a while. I have cod, heirloom tomatoes. I just got tomato basil sauce. I couldn't find sambal, so I got harissa paste, which is like a hot chili paste with herbs and spices, Greek yogurt, lemon juice, microgreens, and instead of fried shallots, I got these at Trader Joe's. These are sour cream onion rings. I just wanted something crunchy. These, I opened the bag to taste and see if I thought it would be good on this, and then I ate half the bag. So I hope I saved enough for this recipe. And gonna start cutting up some tomatoes and maybe prepping the sauce. But today's video is themed. This is coming out right basically on, how do I wanna cut these? I might do like kind of quarters. This is, oh, look at how beautiful. That's a good tomato. This video is coming out right around the 1 year anniversary of me calling my divorce, or the divorce being finalized, decided on, whatever you wanna say. Maybe it could be good to sit down and recap all the things that has happened this last year for me emotionally. The things I wish I did better, the things I'm glad I did, the things I didn't expect, all that kind of stuff. And then I almost chickened out of this video for a couple reasons. I get comments like this one all the time, and I get it. It is totally valid. This is such a challenge for me to continue to bring people along on the journey of healing and re-navigating a new life. It is something that is deeply personal, and I would much rather prefer to not hear anybody's thoughts on it ever. Honestly, sharing what I've been going through for the last year has been almost a form of ministry to me, in the sense that I've had countless girls reach out saying, I'm going through a divorce as well, and I don't know a single other person my age going through something like this. And it's incredibly isolating. And to hear someone else talk about their experiences 1 month after the fact, 6 months after the fact, 1 year after the fact, and all the things that they're still going through and feeling is so validating to me. It helps me feel less alone. It helps me feel like I'm processing with someone. So even though there's so much I don't want to share with the internet because it feels scary to share the most vulnerable parts of yourself with strangers, it's something that I'm continuing to challenge myself to do. So instead of chickening out of this video, I am pushing forward with this video. And if this is not something that appeals to you, then frankly, it's not for you. And that is totally fine. I will catch you in the next video when we do something lighthearted, but I'm not going to waste what I had gone through and the things that I have learned if it could help even one other girl do something better than me, feel less alone in her experiences. And I would love to say, oh, I'm good. I'm all back to normal. It's been 1 year. I'm good as new. But the fact of the matter is, something as big as divorce changes everything about your life. For me, it changed where I live, how I approach my job, who my community is, who my church community is, who my friends are, my relationship status, who my life partner was, and who my life partner could potentially be. Every aspect besides like who my family is, but now how much they're in my life, and what my job is, but now the capacity it has in my life. Like now my job is so much more personal because people know all of my dirty laundry. Everything has changed. And so I'm still learning to navigate it, learning myself. And I think it is very healthy to reflect. And I am a big person when it comes to like milestones or anniversaries or birthdays or whatever, New Year's, those types of things. So that's my incredibly long but important to me preamble. of where I am, me personally, mentally and emotionally, sharing this part of my life with the internet and my intention behind it, because trust me, I would love to not, but that feels wasteful for me, and it feels like I'm not utilizing a purpose that God has given me to reach other women. And that is my main intent here and my main goal here. I'm just gonna prep my sauces while I chat a little bit. I'm just gonna do a little bowl of Greek yogurt, lemon juice and salt, but I really wanted to do lemon zest. I thought that would be nice. And then I'm going to, in another bowl, just mix tomato basil with a few tablespoons of this harissa paste, taste it, see how spicy I want it, and get those ready for our roasting pan. I wrote these thoughts down on a flight in like 5 minutes, and I haven't really glanced at them since, but I categorized it into how I've felt myself change over this last year, things I'm glad I did, things I regret doing, things that surprised me, and what's next. Just so you can kind of expect what's coming. Ooh, time to take out the eggplant. Let me grab that real quick. Yep, that looks roasty. So lowered the oven temp to 350. We'll probably get through 1 or 2 of these categories while cooking, and then the rest we'll eat together. And also, I've said this in the past, it would make me so happy if when you watch this video, you also cook and eat, so we can like have a dinner date. And if you do that, if you want to tag me on Instagram, it would make my whole day to see that. But how I have felt myself change over the last year. This is what I just honestly wrote down in an airplane. The first thing I wrote down is I feel like I am less trusting of myself. And it's interesting too, because I've had some friends ask me like, hey, how are you capable of still being trusting of like relationships and men? Like if I went through what you went through, I would find it so hard to trust. And it's weird that I don't struggle with that. I don't find it hard to trust someone else, but because I'm so trusting, I trust myself less. I trust my own judgment less, but I still trust the people around me. Something else that I have felt in myself change is I am so much more willing to choose experiences. I have much more of this mentality, and I've talked about this in videos in the past of like, why not now? And I feel that even more because I think that this last year has made me recognize how much life can just change on a dime and how you have no control over it, and it could feel out of left field. So I think because of that, like all the things, all the experiences I've hoped to do, solo travel, even just like choosing time with friends and family over work, things like that, I'm so much more likely to choose it than I was before. And I think I still work hard, but I have probably a healthier balance of allowing myself to enjoy the moment a little bit more. I use my teeth to open everything. I'm so sorry. This smells so good. I wonder if this is gonna be weird in tomato sauce. The next thing I wrote down was I feel like my relationship with God is so much stronger. And obviously I think when you hit a low, if you're religious at all, that's for me when I feel like I have to lean on God the most, so my relationship just becomes stronger. And it's kind of sad when I recognize that when my life's going the best is when I kind of ignore God the most. And so that's been a realization that I'm like, I want to be intentional about trying not to do that as much as possible. Like I'm so thankful for this job. I'm so thankful for my family. Those are the 2 things that over and over in my mind, I'm like, God, thank you for this job. Thank you for my family. Thank you that I'm able to provide for myself, work from anywhere so I can go relocate by my family, all those sorts of things. And speaking of family, I wrote my relationship with my family has gotten a lot stronger. I had to be honest with them, and I had to say like, these are the things that have been really hard. I relocated to be closer to them, and so I just get to see them more, and it's been a sweet season of leaning on them a lot more, actually asking for help. I think it's important to acknowledge that like I grew up so privileged, and my family is also so kind that I could ask for anything. And because of that, I've had this pride and this ego of no, I know that that's there, so I never want to take advantage of that. I never want to ask for help. Definitely not like financial help, but even like emotional supportive help. And I had to let go of that ego this last year and ask for emotional help. Even ask for help with like watching Max and be honest with my parents of like, hey, I don't think I have the capacity to go to that family function today. And they were willing to skip out on it with me and sit home and watch Great British Baking Show and things like that. So it opened up a whole another level of, I guess, intimacy with my family, which was sweet. Let's see how this tastes. Ooh! Speaking of, yet again, kind of related, I have felt way more confident in sharing hard feelings. I think I felt this need to be the happy girl, be the confident girl, be the girl that didn't need anything. And I was so afraid to say, I'm sad. I'm angry. A change that I felt in me though is I have struggled so much more with anxiety over this last year, specifically over the last few months. As I'm further and further away from like the hard situation, I'm finally settling. And so now I'm finally feeling things. And I've never really struggled with anxiety before in my life, but it's been kind of overwhelming the last couple months to where I have shared this in videos before, but I like crushed my chest with a 30-pound ball to try to relieve it. And like I have been forgetting to breathe, and it's just more physically manifested anxiety, which has been interesting that took probably 9 months after the initial divorce to show up. A change that I noticed in myself is I lost too much weight, but I've been working really hard to put it back on. This is one of those efforts, like finding creativity and joy in food again is something that has helped me. And I've successfully put back on most of the weight that I lost. And that has been a journey, but something I've been intentional about, something I've been really proud about. And also I'm so much more likely to stand up for myself to the point to where like I can say to you right now, if you say anything about my body or my weight, you're gone. Anything hurtful about the journey with me going through that, you're gone. Me, a year ago, would have never had the confidence to say that, would have never have been able to implement those boundaries. And so I'm proud of myself for standing up for myself in those ways also. Quick little montage of assembly. What I'm gonna do is in a baking pan, I'm going to put the eggplant, the tomato, the sauces, kind of nestle the cod in there and bake it. And then later we're gonna top it with our little lemon yogurt sauce. We're gonna top it with some of these little crunchies that I'll break up, and then we're gonna top it with some microgreens for color. I feel like basil would also be good on this, but microgreens just look pretty. So let's finish cooking and assembling and then try it. It was actually incredibly easy. I think it looks pretty. It looks, you know, it's a one sheet thing. I'm gonna try a couple pieces by themselves and then all together. And then we'll get back to our chat. The eggplant is perfect. I did 25 minutes at 450 and then 25 minutes at 350 with everything else. Let's try a bite of the crunchies and the tomato. It surprisingly works. I thought the crunchies were gonna be a weird twist. Okay. Let's see how the fish is cooked. It looks flaky. High five. My confidence was low in this one. Okay, let's get back to our chat. Next little category is things I'm glad I did. First thing is I'm glad that I moved closer to support system for the first year especially. I'm about to like float around a little bit. My home base is still gonna be by my family, and my family's house is gonna be my home base while I'm traveling for a little bit, but I'm really glad I said for 1 year, no matter what, I'm gonna be near my family and my support system. This is helpful if you're like me and if you find a lot of value in what you create and in what you accomplish and in what you make in terms of income. I know that I tend to overcommit to things, so I said for the whole first year I'm gonna halt any and every side project. I'm only gonna do my job to pay the bills. I said no side projects, no side hustle, just focus on community, rest, settling, figuring out your new life, and I'm really glad I did that. Next, I'm glad that I adopted that why not now mentality that I mentioned earlier. I think it has led me to a lot of really fun experiences. I think it's pushed my boundaries, my comfort zone. It's taught me independence. It's taught me to live my life more for myself, not in like a selfish way, but more in an unhindered, free way and not being so tied to other people's opinions. And I think that that has been really helpful and healthy for me in terms of growing. Things I'm glad I did is take solo trips because it has allowed me to prove myself that I'm capable. Even like silly little things like driving a rental car that's not yours. It's at the end, it's like, I did that. I rented it. I figured out how to get it. I drove it for a whole week, didn't crash it, and returned it, which sounds so silly. I know it sounds like that should be easy, but every little thing like that you do on a solo trip just builds a little bit of confidence and feeling like I'm capable of doing things, of having an idea and executing it and doing it by myself with no help and no opinions. Things I regret. I regret being incredibly trusting, which is hard to know that you're being trusting in the moment. So I'm not really sure if that one is helpful, but even after the initial split, just being trusting of what my ex-partner at the time was telling me. It's easier to default to truth and to trust. I chose the easier route by just trusting everything that was told to me when in fact I shouldn't have, and that is something I regret doing. I don't know how I could have done it necessarily different in the moment, but it is a regret, so I had to include it. I regret giving more than half of what was fairly my ex's assets to him in the divorce. And I feel bad saying that I regret a generosity mindset or a generosity heart posture, but it's because I wasn't necessarily choosing to be generous. I was choosing to be generous under completely false pretenses. I was being very manipulated and lied to about the whole situation of the divorce. I wasn't aware of the infidelity at the time of dividing the assets, so I don't feel like I was choosing to be generous. I feel like I was manipulated into giving more than what was fairly his, and because of that, I regret it, because I feel like there's this justice in me that says that is not fair for someone to hurt someone in that way and then take things from them, whether that be like assets, monetary or otherwise. And if you're going through a similar situation, maybe consult people around you because they might have a clearer vision on what is happening in your world than you do, because you might be the one being gaslit or manipulated. One thing I do regret is living in a state with loud engines. Overfilling my social calendar. I wanted to prioritize friendship and community, and I wanted to not feel lonely, which is great. But I think I said yes to a lot of things that I didn't really have the capacity to actually go to because I was afraid of disappointing people by rescheduling, canceling, or just saying no. And I think that that probably wore me out more than I wanted to admit because I was so hungry for community and plans and to not feel lonely and sad. But I think it would have been healthier to slow down, actually feel and process my emotions, and take more time to rest, especially because I also have physical health concerns on top of just like emotional turmoil of the last year. Things that surprised me. There's only really one thing that really surprised me besides like finding out about the truth about my marriage. But the thing that surprised me that I did is date way faster than I intended. I was so adamant on not dating for at least a year, mostly because I wanted people around me to be proud. I didn't want to disappoint people. I wanted people to say, oh look, yeah, she did a whole year by herself. I just felt the need to prove to the world that I'm capable of being alone. And so I was really surprised when I ended up dating someone half a year after. It was not my vision, my intention at all, but I just felt so myself, and it felt so right and effortless and natural that I continue to just kind of fall into it, and I'm so happy I did. It's been incredibly fulfilling and healing in a whole different realm that I didn't expect to, but I have dealt with the guilt of not proving to the world that I'm capable of being single and alone, which is funny. And so I feel like me going forward with dating someone and then like proudly showing it off to the world is actually yet again an exercise in letting go of like people pleasing tendencies, because in my mind I'm like, people will only like me and think I did a good job of handling this divorce thing if I do it completely by myself. And instead saying, you know what, I'm going to rather choose what makes me feel happiest and most fulfilled in this moment with the circumstances I end up in, instead of just trying to prove to other people and be less happy and less joyful because of it. But I've been doing it and my life is so much more full because of it. But I didn't expect that. That surprised me. That was not my own timeline for myself. Last but not least, I'm gonna take another bite of eggplant. Eggplant is so underrated. If you're a texture person, I get how you don't like it, but What's next? 3 things. 1 might not happen, and I'm okay if it doesn't happen. First thing, take advantage of the experiences that would otherwise be difficult to have if I weren't in this season. And by this season, I mean not having kids, not having a spouse, not having a job that ties me to a specific city, being able to work from anywhere and make anything into work. And I think I just want to continue. I've done a pretty good job, I think, the last 6 months of like diving into that and like having vision for what I want to experience and making it happen in a way that makes financial sense for me and for my job. And I want to continue doing that while I have this season, because I think it's easy to go from a marriage season to a single season and just feel like the loneliness of it or the sad changes of it instead of really seeing the beauty in it. And I want to continue to just dive into the beauty of this season before this season comes to an end, which inevitably will happen at some point. I want to continue to push myself to not follow society's expectations of me. I think that that is a huge recurring theme in my life, and that is another reason why I'm making this video, just to like assess what is the good I want to put into this world, what is the good I want in my own life and my own future, what is healthiest for me and for the people around me, and choose that, even if it feels opposite from the storyline that society tells us we need to be following. This is the one that might not happen, but it's just a goal that I think would be really cool. I've shared this in my channel before. I'm saving to buy a house, and I would like to buy a property of some sort in this not married phase of life, just because I think it would be really cool for me to show myself that that's something I did by myself with no help from family, with no help from a spouse. That's a very specific example. It's like a weird goal of mine, and I feel like it would be really cool to prove to myself like, hey, you did that by yourself and you didn't need anyone else. But it's also very out of my control because who knows what the housing market will do. It seems like it might get a little wild. Everything changed a year ago. I've learned a lot, I've grown a lot. I'm more honest, I'm more anxious, but I think I like myself more. And I think I have more layers, more depth, more emotions. It's scary to share those real things on the internet because the more walls you have down, the more things people say just have a straight shot to your heart. It feels nice to have walls up, it feels protective. Overall, I like me more. And I'm proud to be on this journey, and I'm proud to be sharing this journey with you. And I know this has been the longest, chattiest video, but this recipe is actually kind of bomb. Sorry that I just wing everything and don't have real recipes, but maybe if you wing it too, it'll turn out great also. I'm gonna eat the rest of this off camera so that I don't chew with my mouth full and talk with my mouth full. Thank you for joining me on this very honest video. I hope you have the best rest of your day, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye.
So give me a sign. Give me a sign. Oh, give me a sign. Baby, give me a sign. Just give me one more talking to you. And here we go again. Staying up all night to see if you've been texting me. Where do we go from here?